Now go to the second approach of the critical path method to draw the network and calculate the project schedule. That is the PDM, precedent diagramming method, and AON or AON, activity on node. So by its name implies, instead of use arrow to represent the activity like AOA, we use the node or boxes to represent the activity, and arrow now to represent the dependencies or relationship between the activities. Then for one box represent for one activity, we can divide by nine smaller boxes, as you can see there. And in the middle we have the activity description, what activity is all about, and D stand for activity duration, and you can fill out other form at the corners. EF stand for early start, EF stand for early finish, LS late start, LF late finish, and then we have free float FF and total float TF. How to get the definition of that? So the definition you can see in the slide for today's lessons. So then before we go to that, I want to show you go back to revisit problem 3 in the previous lesson that we work for the build the peer, and we had the sequencing for the pipeline P1 to P6 by either sequential pipeline that go yes and then go back there, go the whole thing, or you can go to the alternate row pipeline. If you recall, P1 to P3, then P4, go to P3, go to P5, and go to P6. So those are the way that you have. And the duration at that time in that lesson, I say that the alternate row pipeline that will get the shortest time to do the peer, to build the peer, and 16 days, and the sequential row pipeline is 18 days. By that time, by that lesson, you don't have a knowledge with the approach to determine why 16 days, and now with that you can be able to find out. And that table from the previous lesson when we built and find out relationship for alternate row pipeline and sequential row pipeline. And with that one, with the alternate row pipeline, we can use activity on arrow network that we just learned to draw yes, and as you can see 16 days, and they have project duration 16 days and have two critical paths as shown in this slide. So that go back to revisit that, and now you can be able to determine. Now I also suggest you to use the this same network, same build the peer, but instead of use alternate row pipeline, use sequencing row pipeline. What is that about? You can go back to the previous lesson, project scheduling process, to review the context of the build the peer that I show in this slide. Now go to the real definition of each terminology in precedence diagramming method, PDM. Duration, that is the activity duration. Early start, the earliest time an activity can be started. Early finish, of course, the earliest time an activity can be finished. Late finish, LF, the latest time an activity can be finished, and the late start, the latest time an activity can be started without delay in the completion date of the project. Other terminology, total float, the amount of time an activity may be delayed without delay in the completion date of the project. And then free float FF, the amount of time an activity may be delayed without delay in the early start time of the immediately following activity, so the immediate successor of that activity. So that is free float. And split I or J represent the preceding activity and the following activity respectively. So with that one, if you forget, go to this terminology with a definition in the slide so that we can review, but it's still abstract. When we go to the problem, you can be able to see how it works and what does that mean. in when we apply in the problem. So the example of the legal case review for the network AON, and you can see in the previous lesson video, we show that network for the activity on arrow for legal case review with the each arrow stand for the activity. Now if we switch the activity now become a node, then with that legal case review I can be able to draw in this one: search, read, write, review, write, and submit, and each arrow stand for dependency between activity. Now similar to the AOA, we do the forward pass and backward pass. In AOA, activity on arrow or ADM, forward pass we fill the early event time, EI. Now for the forward pass for the PDM or AON, we fill early start and early finish, ES and EF. How can we do that? We can have here the equation should be simple: early finish of an activity equal to early start of that activity, of that same activity, plus duration of that activity. And then we have the early start of that activity equal to the maximum of the early finish of the successor. And when no lead lag, no lead or lag. What is lead or lag? We will talk about that in the next lesson. If lag, you can add in there, but we will discuss that in the next lesson. So maximum, as you can see, so forward pass similar to AOA, addition maximum. Now backward pass we will do from right to left, if you recall, to determine late start and late finish. So what is the late start of the predecessor? Late start I equal to early to the late finish of that activity minus the duration of that activity. And then the late finish of that activity equal to the minimum, go backward, minimum late start of the successor. So backward subtraction and minimum same as AOA method. So in the next lesson video, you will learn how to apply that in problem 3, and you have a chance to practice in problem 4.